Fabricated was not only an unaliver of whistleblowers, an extortionist, and also a person that steals and even stealing copper cables. He was also stealing South African minerals and also threatening Mr. Revo Spies, who's the commissioner at the Empd. There's a lot that this man has been busy with. And also wanted to conclude this video by talking about the recent heist that happened in EKURHULENI, guys, over the weekend. Crazy business. In this video, let us unpack Mr. Revo Spies in the Madlanga Commission that happened yesterday. So this thing started on Friday. Actually started on Thursday by Mr. Mapia's testimony, who's the chief of police in the Empd. And he laid out how when MKHWANAZI was hired as the deputy chief of police in EKURHULENI, things fell apart. We saw how they fell apart to a point that the corruption became very, very ripe in EKURHULENI. From them unaliving people to stealing to them, they've done a lot in EKURHULENI. But now Mr. Commissioner Spies comes and adds on top of the cake. He added the caramel, the corruption of the cops, guys.
Senzeni marabantwana benkosi. Maponisa lerietla. Maponisa aditila. Maponisa a failed.
So I wanted us to talk about the copper cable theft. The copper cable theft, I think a lot of people have already touched on it. And Mr. Spies also, or Commissioner Spies, said that these people were stealing copper in EKURHULENI.
So he's a civilian now. He climbs into the vehicle and the police vehicle, and he's driving the police vehicle into the premises.
Is this the vehicle that you said was Stolz's?
It's Stolz's official vehicle that's been assigned to her. Stolz is the lady that walks now here in the front.
Sorry, please say that again.
Stolz, the lady walking towards Willem now, that is Kershalee Stolz.
So, and then a member of the Empd.
She was a member of the Empd till she resigned.
Okay.
And then the individual with his back to us is the one I assume is Willem, because they... She asked where's the warehouse, and then the person showed her towards where the warehouse is. So they ask if that person indicates he's the brigadier, and then he says no, he's still sitting in the car at the back.
Now,
one of the very worrying things, my remarks when it comes to this copper cable theft, is that in EKURHULENI there's a high levels of load shedding. And copper cables are one of the things that assist in ensuring that there's electricity in an area. And now him stealing these copper cables, I don't know if he stole them from people who stole these copper cables, but we know that one of the biggest reportings that we will receive from the news is that these cables get to be stolen. Hence there is load shedding. But because of this ANC government that is flawed, they're always blaming the community members that they're not paying electricity, they're misusing electricity. I'm not saying that is not the case, definitely. Other households in the townships are breaching electricity. They're getting electricity illegally. However, from these new developments, we cannot shy away from the fact that it's not only on the fault of the consumers or the people in communities. It's also the fault of the municipality. Hence, in such townships, there is high load shedding rate. This goes to show you and make you ask yourself what is going on in Soweto. We know that townships like Soweto, they're experiencing high levels of load shedding. To date, when you are sitting in your suburb house or whatever house you are, in the townships, especially in the East Rand municipalities that fall under EKURHULENI and Soweto, I don't know if Soweto falls under EKURHULENI or falls under the city of Johannesburg, but these people are experiencing load shedding in its highest. And the excuse that is given by government is that they're not paying. But from this truth that has came out from Commissioner Spies, clearly the problem is not only the citizens or the people that are staying in these houses, the community members. The problem is also the municipality itself. They are chowing money. They are operating their own syndicates, which is called cable theft syndicate. They're using these guys called the Nyaupe boys to steal these cables. Then they go and they buy these cables from the Nyaupe boys. Or the Nyaupe boys go steal the cables, sell those cables, then they steal from this person who bought them from the Nyaupes, allegedly. Don't forget, Barry, Syndicate Matala was providing legal services to EMPDs. And all the services that Matala was providing, also together with the ones that I spoke about on Friday, all of these legal services and services that he was providing to EMPD were all illegal. You can't just provide legal services, guys.
Can give legal advice where needed. Did you get to know, firstly, what legal advice during a drug bust did you understand this to mean that, he could provide help on?
This is a laughing matter if I actually read this, and I'm looking at it from a police perspective. We are a formal city with a formal legal department, and even in terms of policies and procedures within a council, any employee, if you need legal advice, or any department, if you need legal advice, it will go through your legal department, and that legal department will give legal advice. If they're not in a position to give it for whatever reason, whatever matter, they will use contracted, proper SC or legal advice from outside. But on a scene itself, from a foreigner, from a strange person getting legal advice, that it just doesn't work like that in any law enforcement environment where we arrive on a scene and someone else from a private sector arrives there and says, let me give you legal advice. It will actually, and genuinely, if I'm there as a policeman and someone gives me legal advice on a scene, he will most probably be arrested for obstructing justice because he's interfering in my scene.
And also, you can't just, because you have an LLB, you provide legal services. It needs to be under the supervision of a qualified attorney, an admitted attorney. You can't just provide legal services just after university to just open your law firm and you provide legal services. No, it doesn't work like that. At least if it's under the supervision of a qualified attorney, then you can provide legal services. Hence, even when you're a candidate attorney and people come and consult with you as part of your practicals, you can't just give legal advice without going back to your supervisor, who is a qualified attorney, who has to assist you with giving a qualified advice to a client. You don't just do that. But with this situation, we see Syndicate Matala signing dubious, fake MOU'S. Because that MOU, it said that it was verified by the chief of police, which is Mapieye, but it was found that there's forgeries involved. That man of MKHWANAZI, hence he said the putted. That putted thing is because of him. He's that thing. He's a criminal. He's a forgist. He's an extortionist. He's the everything that you want to think of.
Go to procurement and check. Go to fleet and check. There are no blue lights that they were put in the police. That story comes from within.
His worst is him unaliving that person and throwing him there in that Brakpan river.
Investigated by IPAT already, where it traced back to a body was found in a dam. So initially it was said to us it's Nigel Maryvale Dam in the Brakpan area. Don't know the exact dam, but this was traced back to the same group of officers who was there together with civilians. It's not one of the civilians yet mentioned. So there was a civilians on the site as well. And what was alleged is that they tortured this person on the scene, where they used a method called tubing, which is a piece of rubber that you pulled over a person's face and you suffocate the person. So they tubed this person, and at a stage the actual the person who he has actually turned state witness. He submitted a 204 application and statement as well. He said that the person who they were torturing and questioning or interrogating, he actually had said to them, but he's got money in the house, 500,000 rand, he'll pay that if he can lose him. And then the next moment, this person, they killed him. And from the scene, they called Brigadier MKHWANAZI after it took place now. And Brigadier MKHWANAZI arrived on the scene in a white Golf. And he then proceeded to direct them how to clean the scene. And they placed the body of the victim on this civilian person's bakkie, and they instructed him to go dump the body, which he then duly did.
Allegedly, guys, but I is busy. MKHWANAZI, Mr. Putet, Not only that, let us move right along to them stealing South African minerals, the COLBAT. Oh, guys, so they're hijacking trucks that have COLBAT.
Who informed me that this incident took place. It was where trucks with a man tow truck and was on the R22 with a trailer, and it was close to the Carnival Mall. The people involved on the incident itself, when they actually found it back, was a SAPS reservist warrant officer, Adar Security, Ray Springs, and a Pakistani warehouse, and it happened at the Monster truck stop, Pomona. This Brakpan station commander then, he told me that the information that they are finding, it's from Kershaw Stalls, who posted it of herself on Instagram. So he called me in, we had a discussion about it because he wanted to have more information from me, and I then stated I don't do social media, so I don't have things like Instagram, and I don't have any information about this matter at all. Then the next matter was again mentioned where we call it the Cobalt case, because it is a truck or a few trucks that were hijacked that were conveying cobalt. The investigating officer in that matter was then Warrant Officer Roots from Springs, and his telephone number was given. And Hanekom is the main informant in this matter. So what Hanekom informed us about this matter is that Etienne arrived with a helicopter. They were flown by a person impersonating SAPS, where he said he's Captain Smith, and they arrived on the scene in the Delmas area. But
may I just, sorry to interrupt, you just said Etienne. When we were watching one of the videos, you identified one person, I think they had a red top on as Etienne. Is that the same person, or is this a different Etienne?
Hanekom stating it's the same person. Etienne van der Walt, the same person mentioned in the one Etienne, and this one is the same person that Hanekom said he and the Smith was flying the helicopter, and Etienne was a passenger in the helicopter. And they arrived at the scene in Delmas, where when they arrived, there's already SAPS present. Now, I don't know that you will see in my question, I made in my statement a question mark, because on the scene itself, there was a female captain, Carla Hartley, who chased them away from the scene because they wanted to take the scene over from her, and she chased them away to say she's in charge of the scene, they must get off her scene.
Guys, this syndicate that is ran by MKHWANAZI is really, really serious. You're stealing South African minerals. You better be a brave person. Stealing minerals. In South Africa, we have copper, and it's one of our minerals in South Africa that we're exporting, importing, whatever the case may be. And it's very, very rich, very, very important. But here we see people like MKHWANAZI and the team stealing such things. So these people, they go, the syndicate is too big. They go on to a cash in transit, allegedly, stealing copper, stealing copper cables, every important asset or essential or mineral in South Africa. They're stealing it. They're not just stealing sweets, even with the stones, the precious stones. They're not just stealing they're stealing precious. Hey guys, these people are covering a serious business there by the Empd. I feel for people that are staying around EKURHULENI, and their municipality is EKURHULENI, because there's just a lot going on. What tops it up is that when you talk, they unalive you. Like what they've done with handcuffs, what they've done with handcuffs, that whistleblower who was unalived immediately when these people got bail or were released.
When IPID gave this information, but I also got from an informant, which is Jaco Hanekom, and he was shot the day Stolz, Mackenzie, and Twala, the morning they got bail, that morning, that 12 o'clock that same day, Jaco Hanekom was shot in a drive-by shooting, which the police alleged is a hijacking that went wrong, but it looked to me and everyone on this, it looked like a hit. But he gave video clips and of what happened and took place. And there's a person with the name of Willem, that's a complainant close to the R29 in Meyerton. But it's also stated that Willem doesn't trust the police and he doesn't want to get involved because the local police also doesn't want to involve them. And in this video clip, and we most probably going to show the video clip, but the person who is speaking over the video clip, explaining what's happening on that is a civilian who is most probably family from Willem, but it's someone speaking there. And in that, when he speaks, he mentions the person's name, but just his name, not his surname or anything like that. But it's an incident where our officers, together with this civilian, arrive on scene with unmarked cars, and one car has got a mark on, and they stopped at the front gate. The civilian with a red shirt tries to climb over the fence. It's a very high fence. He tries to climb over the fence, and then eventually the gate is opened for him and all the vehicles drive in. The civilian climbs into the Kershaw stall. She's one of the officers. It's her patrol car that's been assigned to her. The civilian climbs in her patrol car and he drives the car into the premises, driving the police car. And then the cars are standing around there and they're accosting the owner and they're discussing with him. They stole the cop and everything from him. That's what Mr. Makagula is saying.
And what's worse is that no matter what people in the community do, these people, they end up being released out of prison. They end up being able to manipulate evidence, to unalive whistleblowers. Why is it that they've not returned them back to prison, especially after the unaliving of that whistleblower? Clearly, whatever that covers them is that powerful, that it wants them to continue with the syndicate, because if you violate your bail conditions or if you've been arrested for unaliving of someone, and whenever you get your bail, one of the conditions is that you must not intimidate witnesses, because there's 5 factors that they look at to see whether it's in the interest of justice for them to release you. So if they release you and subsequent to your release, someone who's said to be a witness in that case passes away, it goes back to you. Even if it's not you, the police should go back to you and be like, but someone just got unalived after your bail, and that person happens to be a witness in the case that you are involved in. Therefore, you are going back to prison. But instead, these people just went about their business of the day as if nothing happened.
Some of the whistleblowers can at least say, I have been hurt out of blowing the whistle. Because the criminals and others who benefit from corruption will always spread the message, how does it help you to blow the whistle? Can you see now what has happened to you? You're without a job, you're without a home, your children have been taken out of the school that you prefer them to do. How did it help you to blow the whistle? And indeed, when others who could also have blown the whistle on the same incident see your situation, they will say to themselves, we did the right thing by not blowing the whistle. Look at her now. We must turn that around. And in my view and in the view of the Commission, incentivizing whistleblowing the way in the
not just them, even MKHWANAZI himself, whenever there is ways that are being tried to discipline him or for disciplinary action to be taken against him, it always does not work.
Commissioner, I have, and I've queried it with IPAD themselves as well, and they have told me that they will investigate that as well. With the senior investigator, Tulu, he took a supplementary affidavit from me about 3 weeks ago as well. I asked him specifically as well and say, what's happened with this? And he says, no, he showed me, he's actually had the docket with him. He says, I'm now temporarily the investigator again because there's something else that I need to obtain in this docket directed from the DPP. The reason for it was that the docket was originally registered at Boksburg. And the query came up is that why is it not at Germiston? Because the vehicles were registered in Whiteville. That's where the crime occurred. And my answer to that was it started in Boksburg. Brigadier MKHWANAZI's office, where his police office where he works from, is situated in Boksburg. And it happened all over. So it happened in Boksburg, it happened in Germiston where the vehicle fleet section is, it happened at Whiteville where the registrations was done on Natus, and then when the vehicles were deregistered again from our names, it happened in Silverton in Tshwane. So it happened over the province, and we had to choose a starting point where it is. So I started it at Boksburg because none of the prosecution side wants to touch the docket. I don't know why, but everywhere where you get, they say, no, it's not my station, it's that station. It's not my court, it's that court. So I had to give a statement as to why did I choose Boksburg and that. But I don't have an answer. I have got the officer withdrawn it. I've got his name, but it's been withdrawn on the gas system, and we've reported it to I. But it was mentioned, and it's been escalated to a national level. And
there's always people that are standing in the way to ensure that this person does not get to be to account for whatever crimes that he has committed. That is crazy business. Even now, with the blue lights, we saw how the municipality protected MKHWANAZI. They didn't want to discipline him. They didn't want to remove him. Clearly, it's not the syndicate that involves MKHWANAZI. And MKHWANAZI, if you guys can look at Mr. Putet, Mr. Putet will name and shame. I think he will. If they can betray him, Mr. Putet will ensure that he goes down with all of them, hence the protection. Because which means he's not the only one who's corrupt, and he's not the only one who's doing this thing. They know as the municipality that this is the thing that is going on here in EKURHULENI. Very shameful. Because that makes you ask yourself, is everyone who's governing EKURHULENI aware of these things that are going on there in the Empd? Are they aware of what is going on? These parties that are ruling EKURHULENI. It gets you to ask yourself that question. And what is worse is them being extortionists. And this thing, they like it because even from Bushiri, money was being taken from him because he's a foreign national. How many foreign nationals are actually paying these officers? Because they are having this syndicate, this extortionist syndicate of trying to get money from immigrants. Either illegal or legal, I don't know what is their criteria. But clearly they're terrorizing and abusing these immigrants. Instead of them helping the government and the cries of South Africans that we do not like illegal immigrants, please deport the illegal immigrants. Instead, Bona, they want money to keep them in the country. Hence, even what Operation Tutula is doing by ensuring that people, illegal immigrants or illegal migrants, don't access public health care. I think what Operation Tutula is doing, high chances there's issues of bribery there. One day, Skakas are going to come out that there's briberies that are involved in that whole thing. That people can still access public hospitals, but they have to pay for those services. And I think now with this extortion of illegal immigrants or immigrants, that's what MKHWANAZI fed himself from. And even if you can remember with the Bushiri, Sibiya did the same thing. He received money from foreign nationals, had food from the work of the foreign nationals. Hey, the question still remains. Senzeni na.
Senzeni na.
Senzeni na, that we deserve such people in the police that were supposed to protect us, protect the community. Instead, they're terrorizing the community. They are ensuring that they unalive you if you speak too much. If you have loud mouth, they remove you. Lastly, I wanted to conclude this video by talking about the heists that happened during this weekend in EKURHULENI. And think about EKURHULENI, guys. It is the hub of heist. It is the hub of heist, left, right, and center. And why is it that after Katiso Molefe was released on bail, now we see these heists? Some food for thought, allegedly. Because I asked myself, why is it that now these heists, they're coming up? One thing about people who have money, they're greedy, they don't get tired, they want more and more and more. They are now facing the real music of Madlanga and ad hoc. They definitely need money for legal representation. So they will do anything and everything to ensure that they get that money. And that's the thing, whenever these heists happen, they look planned. It looks like they were planned properly, that, okay, this is what we're going to do. And there's someone from the inside that gave the intel. Very, very painful. And you know the craziest part is what? The media is nowhere to be found. I'm not saying anything, but food for thought. Is the media involved? And what type of cash in transit or heists are they really going to cover? Because I thought that this was going to be making rounds in the news, especially in light of what Khumalo has said about how these people that are part of the cartels are moving. And cash in transits are part of those operations that they have, allegedly. I was expecting for these people to go cover such heists because at this moment in our country, these heists are very important. They deserve the public expectation. They deserve to be covered because of how fragile our country is right now. Every crime has to be reported. I just wonder if whether the ad hoc or Madlanga will definitely call the Gauteng police commissioner, because I want to hear what he has to say about the crime in Gauteng and what is going on with the Empd. Why is it that these people are untouchable, but Khumalo, you guys were able to arrest him very quickly in a hurry? If you were able to arrest Khumalo quickly in a hurry, then ensure that you arrest MKHWANAZI and the team and his syndicate of extortion, his syndicate of stealing minerals. South African minerals is in his operation of contributing towards the load shedding that is happening in the Easterns or in EKURHULENI. Nonetheless, guys, let me hear your thoughts and what you think. I'll see you guys in my next upload. Bye.